Good Friday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks, motorcycles, the dogs, the attitudes, the kid, the property, the state of times. Rainy Friday morning. For anybody that's new to my channel, thanks for tuning in, and those that watch it regularly, thank you so much for watching me and listening to me gab away every day, right? The gab away day on the Ice Age TV from the Iceman. And wow, what's going on? It's raining. Get over to the shop sooner than later because I'm gonna get all wet. So I don't have a jacket on that's gonna protect me from the rain today yet. But anyways, here we go. What's going on? The beautiful weather's changed to the rainy weather. And here's this F-250 truck. I worked out this yesterday. This truck is just so much fun. It's such a great truck. It's a blast. I just love that truck. Just wow. How things play out in life that you feel sometimes are for the wrong reasons, end up being for the right reasons. And wow, what a week. People are watching my channel. I'm sure someone may be like, yeah, what a week. What a week. And let's get the lights on, get the dogs in the office and have our roundtable discussion. Do you feel like you're part of the discussions in the morning? Do you feel like you're participating? And you're thinking, yeah, I like that idea. So, what's going on today? What is the theme today? My Indian of the Indian Pursuit. I would wear my Indian paraphernalia because of the disappointment. And I thought, wow, what an appropriate word to use, a plural word to use, noun, for the end of the week conversation. And if you watch my channel, you probably be like, yeah, disappointment. Yes, I can understand that you, Indian guy that has all this Indian stuff, are probably disappointed, probably pretty disappointed because of the end result of the Indian Pursuit of disappointment. Yes. And what's pretty cool is my daughter actually came up with that theme of a word last night. I actually had a different conversation theme I was going to go this morning, but she brought that up because she saw how I was disappointed in the Indian Pursuit end result, which I think we all knew was going to be what it was. And I just thought, it's pretty smart. It's like to have people around you that are sometimes smarter than you, or maybe always smarter than you. So yes, the Indian rugs. I mean, am I the Indian guy? I mean, for anybody that initially would walk in my shop and didn't have any motorcycles in here, they would probably be, yeah, this guy's an Indian fanatic, not knowing I've got a Triumph motorcycle here that I'm just so satisfied with. Am I disappointed in this? I'm not. And that's why I thought this morning would be such a great conversation to use the disappointment that my daughter thought about, because disappointment's about an expectation of something you're thinking will arise or happen, and it doesn't. You're disappointed because it doesn't play out the way you thought it would. And back here, I just think that the Indian Challenger is such always the great vehicle to go to just for others that don't see my Indian Pursuit, because this in so many ways is the Indian Pursuit. Only difference is it doesn't have a tour pack, it doesn't have lowers. And this motorcycle is just so nice that I would never have thought in my pursuit of happiness to buy the Indian Pursuit that I would be disappointed, because I have had so much success on the Indian Challenger product. I had a 2020 that was a more of a color like this kind of, and I have the Elite Indian Challenger, so I never questioned myself that should I decide to buy an Indian Pursuit that I would end up being in the predicament I'm in, where I have a motorcycle that the front end, if you watch my videos, the front end, the steering wheel at a certain speed begins to shake and shimmy and wobble. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling, especially when you're going through a corner and this bike starts doing this through a corner. That's a really freaky feeling. Until you ride a two-wheel motorcycle, it's a whole different world from the four wheels of sitting behind the wheel of a car. But that's why I love motorcycles. But here's the thing. I think it's really cool that for me, if you go back to January 2020, when Triumph released the brand new Rocket, I was so on the page of wanting to get one of these. And I rode the 3R, I rode the GT. Back then, I was leaning more towards the GT because the Rocket 3R is more of a performance, right over the foot pedals. It's a more aggressive stance of a ride. I'm more the guy kind of likes to be laid back and have the ride where you're kind of leaning back, feet are forward, and it's your forward controls. Your handlebars are set up a little differently, little windscreen. So just a little different. Exact same bike. But I truly rode both bikes back in January of 2020. And I walked away feeling if I bought the bike, I'd be disappointed. Yes, I really truly felt that I would probably buy the bike, but I really wouldn't ride it much because it's such the wind in the face. And until you ride a motorcycle, you don't really understand that kind of language. I am the guy of the age that likes the bagger style touring motorcycle where you have a front fairing that shields you from all the wind and air and debris. These front ends of these bikes give you a lot of like protection and get the wind off of your body. And then when you have like the Indian Pursuit, you have what they call lowers, which is a whole assembly down here, which is like a storage compartment, but it keeps the air coming into your legs, debris. You know, when you're on a motorcycle, there's a lot of things going on. A lot of things happen very quickly. Debris can come off a vehicle. So having the protection around you is a really nice, confident feeling. And if it's cold out, if it even starts raining. So these are much more my style motorcycle. And that's why I felt like if I bought this motorcycle here, it's such what I call the naked experience because you don't have any protection. You know, you don't have a fairing. You don't have the wind protection. I mean, so and it's a whole different style motorcycle. So here's the point of me talking about this Triumph motorcycle this morning. It's incredible how the Indian pursuit of unhappiness, pursuit of disappointment created this Triumph Rocket to be now in the collection of my motorcycles. I mean, it's crazy because I never ever would have been down at the Motorcycles of Dulles on a regular basis on going to check on my Indian Pursuit to try to get the front wheel wobble resolved. And I saw this, and this then kind of got into my life. I saw BMW K1600 bagger that I thought about as well. So it's just incredible how the Indian actually created the Triumph. And I never would have even guessed that, even thought that. This was never even on the radar screen for me. I did not have any really immediate time frame of me wanting to buy the Triumph. But I even did, at one point, say, I'm not going to buy it. I just like, you know what? I'm not going to buy it because I think at the end of the day, I'm going to be disappointed that I bought it because I think of the way the motorcycle is set up, I won't ride it because it's such a wind-in-your-face motorcycle. How wrong am I? This motorcycle here now has over 500 miles. This motorcycle has more than my Harley-Davidson Road Glide CVO. This motorcycle now has borderline more miles than my Indian Challenger Elite that I bought in June of 2022. I bought that CVO back there, I think, in like August. I bought this thing just a little over a month, just like a month ago. So, wow. So the disappointment. So I think what's this conversation this morning, I think so many people can relate in their life with you've had the disappointment of something happen. But if sometimes you just kind of know how to handle that situation, I think maybe something comes to you bigger and better. That's why I always say pray for a miracle. I truly believe in pray for a miracle because I think just if you're a godly person, God knows. You don't have to tell God. You don't have to tell God. Just pray for a miracle, okay? I think if you're in touch with God, you'll love that. So here's the front windshield that I got for the Triumph. I'll do a little video of me getting that. I'm so disappointed because Motorcycles of Dulles yesterday, if you watch my channel, was supposed to put that front little fairing, little small little windshield to deflect the air off of you, and they forgot to do it. And it was so late in the day by the time I got in to get this bike last night, if you watch me riding it home, and I rode home at nighttime. I'm just not a nighttime rider. I don't like the nighttime riding. You just can't see up the road per se what's really lies ahead. And I just don't like it. The deer, it's just more of a challenge. You wear the face mask, you kind of get a little glare off of the the windscreen on your helmet. And the whole point is, I'm so disappointed because I wanted to see if that little windshield deflected and just threw off a little bit more air off my chest. Because when you're doing 70, 80 miles an hour on this motorcycle, you feel the wind sail of your body. So that's why this bike is extremely fun when you ride this motorcycle around, more in like the back roads, and it's not really the bike that I prefer just to ride down the highway all day long. It's not as fun. It's more of a back road, city street motorcycle, and yeah, some open highway here and there. And so, anyways, a disappointment of the Indian Pursuit created happiness of a Triumph Rocket. So wow. So for anybody here that's watched my channel, and I have all these different vehicles, and for me, what drives my constant, in some ways, disappointment of something I buy that gets me energized to buy something different. And that's kind of, in some ways, what plays out in my life. I buy a vehicle, and if we go back to this week's conversations, we can talk about how Monday was the giving conversation, Tuesday was the taking conversation, Wednesday was the mad conversations, Thursday was the excuses conversations, and today, with the help of my daughter, is the disappointment conversations. And I think, wow, it's so true that in the world we live with these cars and trucks and motorcycles, there's so many stories of people's disappointment. And since I have my YouTube channel, I get a lot of people that reach out, and I'm getting people reaching out on my YouTube channel on the Harley-Davidson CVO Road Glide, and I'm getting people saying, hey, is your bike making an upper valve train ticking noise? I think I've got a valve train problem already. This 121 motor, which I already knew I'd be the guinea pig on this motorcycle. Would I have thought that the Indian Pursuit would be more of the disappointment than the Harley-Davidson CVO 121? I mean, all sincereness, I would have thought the brand new model, right out of the gate, I'm buying one. I have a higher chance of being disappointed in this motorcycle because of failures of me being the brand new guy on brand new technology, brand new motor. But yet here, the Indian Challenger, aka Pursuit, is the bike that isn't sitting here in my garage because it's not a safe motorcycle. Here's the point. There's a lot of so-called people that bought these motorcycles that are reaching out. They're now disappointed with this Harley-Davidson CVO. I have voiced so many times that I'm so disappointed with Harley-Davidson making these things a dime a dozen, where they're everywhere. Where for the amount of money you're spending for this bike, the amount of exposure of this bike, I just feel like, wow, that's a disappointment, because when a bike's rare and it's not really around, if I decide I'm disappointed in this motorcycle, I want to get rid of it and get something else, I'm probably going to have good value. Now, not so much. This motorcycle, I think, as time progresses, is going to be a $10,000 or less value of a motorcycle, which that kind of really is a bummer. But anyways, over here is my daughter, who has always been so satisfied with her Harley-Davidson Street Bob that's out in the trailer, and the Lowrider ST. For her, she's actually very satisfied. And what she wasn't satisfied with was the Indian Sport Chief, which is a direct competitor in so many ways to the Indian Lowrider, not the ST. The ST has the bags. So the Lowrider S is just a non-bag, no non-big front fairing. And so it's incredible. The disappointment of her on that Indian Sport Chief created the Triumph. Yes, I mean, crazy to think about that my daughter really loved that Indian Sport Chief. Because you watch my channel, you'll see I went down to Motorcycles of Dallas, and I initially was going to sell my Indian Chieftain Elite Series to Motorcycles of Dallas. And I sold my Indian Super Chief to Motorcycles of Dallas, and the numbers weren't that great. So I really wasn't ready to let them go. But then the last second, the Indian Pursuit pops up that they have, premium package. And so I decide to sell both of those Indians for two new Indians, which was the Indian Pursuit and the Indian Sport Chief. Now for my daughter, she gets to ride different motorcycles, and I'm trying to get her to see the different experiences. And after having this motorcycle here, that Indian Sport Chief just didn't satisfy her. She was in some ways disappointed. Well, that made me think, heck, this maybe opens up the door for the Rocket R, because if you watch the channel, I traded back in that barely used Indian Sport Chief, and I got the brand new Triumph Rocket 3R. And sure, I took a loss, no doubt, but the owner gave me a pretty decent discount on this. But overall, I'm very happy. So there's another story of, for me, a disappointment created an opportunity that here this is. Because if I don't really like that Sport Chief, then it would be now all about the Indian Pursuit, of getting rid of the Indian Pursuit for this. But the Indian Pursuit thing could drag on another month, 2 months. I don't even know. I haven't even gotten there. So, channel, the Indian Pursuit now, for me, is to the point that I'm going to have my service writer manager, Pete, is emailing Indian's tech division of all the things they've done. It's not fixing the problem. The owner is very disappointed. He's done. He doesn't want you guys to continue to try to use him as a guinea pig to figure us out. And it's time for us to close the ticket, and he's going to now go for the buyback. So, and that's what I'm doing. So today he's going to email them what I just said to you in so many words. And then Monday, my position is I'm going to go ahead and then make the phone call to Indian and then start the disappointment conversation. And how do they handle that? So it'll be very interesting to see if Indian is very, very aggressive and very efficient on saying, we see everything, we see how you've been extremely patient, we're going to resolve this very quickly for you. Or, no, we're going to send us back to tech side, and we're going to continue, and that's when I'm like, whoa. I mean, that's when I'll probably not be such a nice guy anymore, and I'll share with them that you're going to be hearing stories on my YouTube channel of how terrible your product is and how dangerous it is. I mean, do you get violent? That's how we are as people. That's what we do. We create the revenge factor. It's just, if you don't get what you want, then I'm going to hurt you. That's just how we operate as humans. So, to the disappointment, when it comes to the car side, for me, here I am already saying to myself, hey, this is a really nice car. But it's not the dark horse. And the dark horse is really what I wanted out of the gate. I never would have ordered this motorcycle. I never ordered this Mustang. But ironically enough, a guy did. And ironically enough, I was able to trade out of one thing for another thing. And we made this all work. And so here it is, sitting in my garage. I've already modded it. I think it's a great car, but it's not the dark horse, of which I ordered one with this really cool blue, dark blue color that has a unique look to it, and it's a first year out, and it's just different. And I ordered one with the automatic, I ordered one non-Recaro, and I ordered a really nice setup dark horse that's really what I was looking forward to by the end of the year, first of next year, to get that. Well, here I am. If you're watching the channel, you see now with Koons Baltimore Ford, they have basically the exact same car that's a dark horse, and here I am now, finagling maybe to buy one of those. But at the same time, I think I'm going to be disappointed if I buy the exact same car, meaning the exact same color, it's a manual transmission. Sure, the dark horse has a higher output motor, but here's the point that I'm trying to radiate back to you this morning. Koons Baltimore Ford is showing a vehicle that I basically ordered, but it's not, because it has Recaro seats. So now I'm like, where's that car? Now, in that scenario, if that car is available, that's a darker blue, and it's an automatic, and it's really the same car as the car I showed you at Koons Baltimore Ford. Difference is the colors are different, but the car's actually automatic Recaro seats, which I don't really want Recaro seats. But the point is, if that was available, then yeah, but here's the challenge. Challenge is, I've got a daughter that isn't really disappointed with her Ford Mustang GT white car. So in so many aspects, for me, to make that deal go down, I got to give up that Mustang over there. But for her, not so much, okay? For her, she's like, hey, Dad, I'm not so sure I'm excited about that idea. So that's a very fine line there. So, yeah, what do I give up for it? I could only wish I could give up my Ford Mustang Mach-E electric vehicle for the Ford Mustang Dark Horse. That would be so cool if that played out, because that's just a vehicle that just doesn't get driven. And as I told you, that's a really nice car, but the car's platform, there's a disappointment factor in the way this car goes down the road. And what it does, as I said, it kind of gets like a wave, okay? What is that all about? It's about that low center of gravity battery pack that gives this car a unique type of ride. And if you go down the road and you see a Mustang GT and it's on a road that's not really perfect, you'll see how the car does what I just told you. That car, it's neat. Am I disappointed in it? I am, because the range is not that great, which that's a big downside to this car. Most people will go for the two-wheel motor cars versus four-wheel motor cars because they will get a better range. But here's the thing. The car's value is just not there. It's taking a huge loss. The Ford F-150 Lightning, great truck, great vehicle. Am I disappointed? I'm disappointed because I only bought that vehicle for a guy that worked for me for so many years, and I never would have bought it had I known he was not going to stay with my company. So I bought that based on me thinking somebody needed a vehicle and I was trying to help them. But in the end, yeah, now I have an electric vehicle that really I don't want. I'd rather just get rid of it. Now, if there's ever a gas crisis shortage, you know, everything changes instantly. I mean, you know as well as I do. If we ever, this is what's not, you know, comforting where we are in today's world. We're borderline in a World War III. And can you imagine that if we had some terrorist attacks on the oil pipelines or oil tanker facilities, instantly the fuel crisis begins. And instantly, these electric vehicles will be sought after like you've never seen before. I mean, that's what happens. It's just crazy to think that where we are right now, that we're in a war. We're in a war. You know, we are in a war with the world. And I think if anybody here denies that, I think you're delusional. And once again, electric vehicles, if the gas stations started having these massive lines, this generation, you're talking so many people that are of an age group that just don't understand the hardships of what goes on in the real world. And, you know, it's just very sad because there's very strong-minded people out there that think that, you know, what are you going to do? And the whole point is, until you've sat in a gas line, like I did with my father back in the 70s, for 4 hours or more, and you only get X amount of gas, you don't get it. And so if we ever had gas rationing in this area, in this country, these electric vehicles, the sales would go through the roof, because people now had a capability to still get around. And that's what I thought to myself this morning is, when you have the cars, let's go ahead and just get upstairs, Izzy, as I walk around in circles. And as I thought to myself this morning, what is the power of transportation? I mean, if you go back just to the original mankind of getting around on foot and having to use animals to get places and use wooden ships, I mean, the power of these vehicles is bigger than I think some people even stop to think about, because it gives you the freedom. You know, these vehicles give you the freedom to go where you want to go and do what you want to do. And then also it's a status of what's your the wealth of who you are. I mean, that's a whole conversation here all the time from people about all these cars and trucks that I have. Hey, pups, everybody present? They are on this dark Friday gloomy day, right? So the ongoing conversations of where we are in today's society with all these cars and trucks and motorcycles, the power of what powers them is fossil fuels, and we're more than ever reliant on the fossil fuels for the majority of the cars and trucks and vehicles. And it's incredible, because this area, I worked in the oil industry. You have two major pipelines that come out of the Gulf, up the eastern seaboard. The Colonial Pipeline and the traditional pipeline. And those two pipelines, if any terrorist was ever to blow up those pipelines, instantly in this mid-Atlantic northeast area, you would have a fuel shortage. And so, how disappointed are you going to be when you go to the gas station and it says no gasoline? How disappointed are you going to be when you go to the gas station and they tell you can only get 5 gallons of fuel? and the pump just automatically cuts off the 5 gallons. I mean, so can you even imagine? And so think about these electric vehicles. All of a sudden, I can guarantee you that these cars just disappear from the whole marketplace. So in some ways, for Ford, especially Ford, a major energy crisis would be to its biggest advantage ever because it would all reverse everything of their fortunes overnight. And these vehicles here, for me, all of a sudden we have credible values. But here's the challenge for me. I've got a business that relies me to be on the road every day of my life just about. So now would I part with these? I wouldn't. There's no way. Because those would be the life of my business to continue to be able to make me be able to work. So, wow. So the disappointment creates the opportunity for the others. Can you even imagine? But here's the thing. What I don't think people are thinking about here, what's really sad where we are in today's world and what we're witnessing that's truly on our doorstep of the potential of terrorist attacks and devious things. And Hamas, I mean, you think about Hamas, they were very smart on what they did to Israel. Just think this through. They attacked Israel in such a really, probably one of the most aggressive attacks in modern times. And who they went after ignited in so many ways the Muslim world. And somebody say, well, how do you say that Hamas, who went out and killed innocent people, ignited the Muslim world? Well, just step back for a second. So Israel has now taken total revenge of these actions. And Israel is now, as we know, bombing the heck out of the Palestinians in Gaza. Okay, but it's a psychological accomplishment of the Hamas because they now have reinvigorated the Jewish. As we know, we are witnessing more than ever what's going on in our country and the world of the Muslim uprising of the anti-Jewish, statements. And so for me on a YouTube channel, I hope that nobody is thinking I'm trying to promote hate or anything else. I'm just telling you that where we are in today's society, this comes full circle for where we are on the support and trying to balance how we can get both sides to tame this down and try to come to some type of resolution. I mean, how do we even do it? But in the meantime, we're in the middle of all this. And does Iran get radical and create the energy crisis? I mean, we've been through this before, back in the 70s. And so for me, that's what kind of spurred this conversation this morning. I thought to myself, wow, the electric cars all of a sudden would have incredible desires by so many because they're going to say, well, hey, honey, you can go sit down at the gas station all day long fighting with people to get 5 gallons of gas, or we can just charge our car from our house and or we can go to the charging station probably at these gas stations or at other facilities, and it would probably propel the electric vehicle domination overnight. It would probably then, if we ever had a long-lasting energy crisis shortage in this country on the ICE vehicles, and it dragged on for a few months, I can guarantee you the interest of electric vehicles would skyrocket. It would totally reverse. And you think about this. What's going on with Jim Farley, Mary Barrera, Carlos Tavares? I mean, what is going on with these people? They're seeing that the people are disappointed in the direction of these big three companies of going all electric, and they don't like it. So they're all now raising their hand, and they're saying, whoa, we need to back up. And we realize that our consumer base is extremely disappointed, and we need to reevaluate on what we're going to bring to the future of the market of the cars. And it's showing. Jim Farley said it day in, day out. He's on the page of making hybrid vehicles more than electric vehicles. Same thing with GM. They shut down the immediate building of an electric vehicle car manufacturing. And it's really interesting because this Inflation Reduction Act has so many handouts for all this infrastructure that's supposed to take place. And I wonder behind the scenes, is the battery manufacturer all of a sudden now kind of like taming it down, or are they still going full blown? I would think they're still going full blown. But for the electric vehicle manufacturing plants, for the cars, I know that General Motors has put a hold and delayed the build out of that. I know that Ford has definitely tamed down the commitment to just all electric per se. Uh, as far as Stellantis goes, their position is they're going to offer the options. The 2027 Jeep Next Grand Cherokee is already being talked about, and that model is going to be an option of ICE or electric. And I think that's the better way to go. And it's just such a no-brainer. But as I talked about yesterday, it's all about the disappointed green agenda people that feel strongly that this immediate resolving the challenges of Mother Nature and mankind aren't happening quick enough. So they're so disappointed that they have rallied like never seen before, raising monies and getting major organizations and infrastructure to go fight the ice age, to go fight where they're beyond the ice age. It's into manufacturing, it's into all aspects of our life, of how we live, what we do. And so the green agenda are totally disappointed that things aren't moving very quickly or very fast. And that's what I talked about yesterday is, man, why is it such like an emergency that everything has to be done by, next 3 to 5 years? And there's so many countries out there that are saying, well, by 2035, no more ICE vehicles and blah, blah, blah. And you just think to yourself, do you really believe that all of this? And then I was reading the other day that some of these ICE vehicles, it's 70,000 miles before it comes net zero carbon footprint. I've talked about this numerous times. I read this 10 years ago about Tesla cars. It was 45,000 miles, 50,000 miles before an actual Tesla car became carbon footprint neutral because of all the fossil fuels and the carbon footprint it created to build it and make it. And then you go to the other aspect of all of the infrastructure of what is going to recharge the car. Is it a coal plant, a natural gas plant, a hydro plant? Is it a nuclear plant? I mean, wow, right? I mean, and here's a conversation I was reading about how disappointed so many of the green agenda activist people are that so many countries aren't bending the way they do things, that they're continuing to build out the fossil fuel infrastructure of the energy. Look at China. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But it's a disappointment. And for us, I mean, for me, for this week, has this been a disappointing week for you? If you're a voter and you're one party, I can honestly say you're probably disappointed in what you've seen play out in the voting. And for me, I'm disappointed because I just feel like it's so unfortunate. The media machine only uses certain words to spur the moment of I've got to go do something. Otherwise, I'm going to be very disappointed of the new person in power. And in Virginia, the Democrats' power has come to be in the House of Virginia because so many people felt that the sitting governor was going to disappoint so many by banning, by putting a ban on things. But the reality is he wasn't putting a ban on things. He was putting a time frame on banning things. So, I mean, and that's where it gets so disappointing as an individual for me that just sits around and you see what the message is, but it's like, but that's not really clear. You're not really understanding the whole message, but you take it and then you side with somebody because you feel like they're telling you they're not going to do this or they're going to do that, but you don't understand really what they're going to do. And so then that's where the confusion comes in, and then you just cater to what you feel like that person will do not to disappoint you. But in the end, aren't you disappointed? And that's what I thought to myself this morning is it's really incredible. For me, I'm on the field. I see a lot of people, and overall, the people I see seem to be happy, seem to be content. And for them, they don't seem to be violent people or mad. It just seems like overall, just a general getting around and doing things. But at the same time, I think, wouldn't you be disappointed that in 2020, if you voted for an individual that has created the highest inflation, and keep in mind, I'm no idiot to life to understanding that one guy can't create all the problems. One guy can't solve all the problems. I get all that. But under this new administration, aren't you just disappointed as a voter that you voted in the administration that in so many ways has created such an expensive economy? I mean, sincerely, I mean, I think it's so unfortunate because it turns into the party. It turns into you're married to that party. You're married to this person or that person. And I think I talked just a little while ago about how I was so disappointed in my Indian Pursuit. But at the end of the day, I didn't realize it would create happiness of the Triumph Rocket 3R. And I think to myself, that's so true in life that you, in so many ways, who here didn't date somebody when you're very young and had the experience of you losing your boyfriend or girlfriend and you broke up? I mean, who hasn't had that experience in their life? And I just think to myself, that's such a great example of such disappointment that in the end, you look back now and think it was such a great opportunity for you because you moved on and you found somebody else that hopefully there was a better match and fit for you. But when it comes to like politics and politicians and the media machine, it totally brainwashes people to feel like they'll be disappointed if they side with this one person versus another person. And that's what I'm saying this morning is, I mean, sincerely, do you feel like if you voted for Joe Biden back in 2020, you feel like that was the better, Build Back Better? You feel like you don't have any disappointment from that voting? And I'm not here to, say Donald Trump was the answer. That isn't the message. I'm just saying, just look at what's going on. Let's just look of the disappointment. I know for me, are you disappointed that the car prices are through the roof? Yeah. Are you disappointed they don't discount the cars? Yeah. Are you disappointed that the energy prices are through the roof? Yeah. Are you disappointed that all the food prices are through the roof? Yeah. I mean, have you noticed that you go to McDonald's, wherever you go anymore, if you're not paying attention, that sandwich that's more expensive is smaller. I mean, do you know that? I mean, I'm sure most people do. You go to buy stuff at these fast food places, you're paying more for a smaller sandwich. Have you figured this out yet? So you don't really get filled up like you used to per se. Are you disappointed that you feel like if you ride the subway in many of these cities that you're exposed to the riffraff, whatever plays out, plays out? Are you disappointed that if you try to defend yourself in so many ways, you may be the person who goes to jail and the other person won't? Are you disappointed that the district attorneys have created the highest level of crime for actually prosecution, that the criminals can get away with more than ever? Are you disappointed that you can watch these videos of Target and Home Depot and Walmart of people walk in and just steal everything and take it home and they don't have to pay for anything? Are you disappointed about that? Are you disappointed if you live in New York City that the sanctuary city for all the illegals was open arms and now your city is basically in so many ways homeless encampments? I mean, aren't you disappointed about this? Are you disappointed that you've elected officials that support boys can go into girls' bathrooms and do devious things? Are you disappointed that your girl on a softball team is going up against a bunch of boys dressed up as girls on a softball team? I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I just think, when do these individuals start to raise their hand and go, I mean, you're not disappointed with all this stuff? So sincerely, you're not disappointed that your house that you have now in so many ways, you can't sell it, because if you sell it, what are you going to do? Aren't you disappointed now that 3% mortgage is no longer available? And now it's basically 8-9%. Aren't you disappointed that the car payments have gone through the roof and the car prices? I mean, how many disappointed people right now are turning their cars in? You hear these stories all the time. It's rampant about how many people are having their cars repossessed. It's obvious they're very disappointed of what they bought. They're not trying to work 2 or 3 jobs to keep it. Their attitude is, get rid of it. Who cares? Whatever. I mean, wow. So are we at the most disappointing times in modern times? I think we are. I mean, it's disappointing. You don't have to be sad per se. I mean, because we all have been disappointed and we're all big boys and girls. We can pull up our britches and work through the challenges. But I mean, we're in a war. We're in a war with Russia. We're now in a war with Israel. And it's just not comforting. So aren't you just truly disappointed of the powers that be in our country have done all these things that I just mentioned? I mean, it's just unimaginable. But the media machine will continue to prove and say to you that you shouldn't be disappointed. That things are great and fine. Wow, wow. I'm going to leave it at that. And my YouTube channel, there's such a fine line of me making comments here where truly somebody could be, oh, this guy here is radical on his YouTube channel. It's like, yeah, okay, right? Yeah, the general knowledge of what's going on in the world, and you just don't want to hear it, and this is offensive. I mean, you know what I mean? So, anyways, hope that isn't the case for me, because I always want to talk about the love of my cars and trucks and motorcycles. And yeah, so what's next? I don't know. I mean, what's next? What am I going to do? Is the dark horse going to play out? I don't know. The Ford dealer is talking Ford Motor Credit, and I don't think they're buying the deal. I mean, I'm sincere. So yesterday, they were trying to do that deal on that dark horse. Even though I'm with so many people, it doesn't make any sense to buy that car. I would so much rather have a whole different color car, and I really want an automatic. Automatic's a faster, funner car. So we'll see how it plays out. Then my friend here, who's got the 392 Wrangler Jeep, that now is available to drive, but it's a rainy ass day, and I don't think that'll happen today. It'll probably happen tomorrow. But I gotta drive that 392, and I feel like that's gonna be a really nice vehicle. But I've got the Bronco to go up against it, and come on, I just can't see how I would be disappointed in that Bronco to go to the 392 Wrangler. I mean, which I could do that, but I just can't see it. But I don't know. You know me, you never know. So hey, everybody, have a great Friday. And for all the veterans, thanks for your service. Thanks for those that dedicated their life to try to give you a better life. And it's just incredible. Veterans Day is tomorrow, and it's being recognized throughout the country a lot of the today. But wow, I mean, come on. I mean, what's it all about? I mean, at the end of the day, it's about those that don't want to disappoint you, because they'll pull up their britches and they'll go out the door and try to protect you and make our country a better place. And more than ever, do we need those type of people? We sure do. We really do. I mean, I can't emphasize enough. Wow, that's why I'm wearing my Heroes hat, got my Heroes gear on. I mean, I give credit to any one of these people that volunteer to go to the military, and in so many ways, you're at any moment's notice to go in so many ways sacrifice yourself for our country. And today, in today's world, in this country, I don't know. I just don't know how many people would do that anymore, sadly. So, hey, everybody, have a great day, and God bless. Stay safe. Can't emphasize enough. Stay safe.